Hi, Chris Johnson, CEO of the Urban Taskforce, here with the latest publication we've just put out in our Urban Ideas magazine. This is about an urban living index, as you'll see from the cover here. What we've done is we've engaged Mark McCrindle, to build up an index as to how we can measure well-being about the quality of living across the whole of Sydney. Now here you will see a diagram which structures just how we have put this together, and it's interesting to go into the details of this. So if you look at it, you'll see that there are 5 categories that we have measured the well-being or the livability index. The first of these is to do with affordability, and just to the right of affordability are the measures that we put in here. So these are to do with home cost, rental costs, rental population, household income. Below that we have community and social issues, and the measures for this are dynamic communities, language, volunteer work, workforce participation, then employability, and again 4 measures, amenity and 4 measures, and accessibility and 4 measures, which include access to work, population density, walking to work, and transport sustainability. So what we've done, or what Mark McCrindle has done, is measured in great detail all of these criteria, so that from this you can then build up an assessment of a particular suburb and how it works. Now moving to the actual results. So here is a spread of 228 suburbs across Sydney. And if we go onto the website, now the website address is www.urbanlivingindex.com. If you go to the actual website, what you can do is scroll over the actual sites themselves, and you can see Castle Hill will come up as an index of 75, and it is ranks 38th of the 225, for instance. So we can go to Waterloo. It's got an index of 80 and it ranks 13th. So you can cruise across this whole map and get the index measurements as to how this comes together. So while I'm on the website, I'll just show you a couple of other interesting issues on it, because there's a high density housing map as well, and if you click onto the high density map, that gives you then a measure as to the number of apartments as a percentage of all dwellings in each suburb. So the darker colours are where there's more apartments. So if we go out to Waterloo, Beaconsfield, 79% are apartments. That's number 8 on the listing here. We can go over St Leonard's and Naremburn, 67%. It's number 19. So this gives you a ranking as to how these occur. But I will also, going back to the magazine now, want to illustrate just how the pecking order works in these lists. So if we look at the final rankings, you'll see on the side here which of the 6 districts, Sydney's divided into 6 districts, has got the most highest ranking in terms of the Urban Living Index. Surrey Hills, Marrickville, Pyrmont, Leichhardt and Randwick in the central area. In the northern area, Crow's Nest, North Sydney, Chatswood, Hornsby and Neutral Bay. And so it goes through the different regional areas. But I want also to look at the individual areas that we measured. So one important one is affordability. So if you look at the affordability chart here, the darker colours are where a suburb is more affordable. And this shows that the ones close into the city are less affordable. They're a lighter colour. And as it moves out, you get the darker colour. Similar vein, we go to community, where the darker colours are close in, where there's more density. So the amenity areas seem to work out better in those areas in terms of community issues and how community reads things. Employability, this one here is employability, and you can see on the chart here that the darker colours are closer in. Basically, if you are close to a railway station, you are close to where the jobs are, but most of the jobs are in the CBD, so that's where they work. If we go to the amenity graph, this shows a slightly different cut as to where the darker colours are with this particular category. So in amenity, we're looking at educational attendance, arts, restaurants and cafes, how many of those there are around you, shopping, how much shopping there is. Accessibility is the next one we measured. And accessibility, you'll see from the graph here, the darker colours are generally close to railway stations. So we've used the access to public transport as a key part of this, walking to work, and interestingly, the number of people that don't have a car says you're more accessible to public transport. We also did a bit of a study, and I won't go into this in too much detail, about 1,000 people and asked them what they thought about more urban living. And one I will look at, there's an affordability question. If you were starting over and had to buy into your area in the current property market, to what extent could you afford to stay in your own area? And what's interesting is most people, 37% say definitely unable to buy into my area, 24% probably unable. What's happening across Sydney is that people are finding it's harder to live in the suburban environments they're used to. A new wave of people living in more urban, cosmopolitan sites is starting to happen, and this index is trying to measure how livable these areas are. And what we're finding is those areas that are fairly dense are stacking up very well as places to live for these people who want this urban lifestyle. More of this on our website at www.urbanlivingindex.com. Please look at that and check out your suburb as to how you rate.